Wish that I was on old Rocky Top down in the Tennessee hills. Ain't no smoggy smoke on Rocky Top, ain't no telephone bills. Once I had a girl on Rocky Top, half bear, other half cat. Wild, wild as mink, but sweet as soda pop. I still dream about that. Rocky Top, you'll always be home, sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top, Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee. Y'all, good morning. KJ here. Well, I'll tell you what, I just woke up and remembered that the men's Tennessee basketball team won the SEC title regular season last night against South Carolina. Folks, we kicked South Carolina's ass. And we're going to be playing Kentucky on Saturday. Even if we lose to Kentucky, which we won't, we're going to kick their ass too. We have the SEC championship, y'all. And we are looking good going into the SEC tournament and the NCAA national tournament. Good morning, Susan Honecker. Good morning, Pam Keith and Fancy Nancy and Lena Howry and Teresa and Dee Dee Sunshine and Tanya C. And y'all, that was a game. That was a game. I didn't do the Tennessee Rocky Top song justice, but by God, I'll sing it anyway. Hello, Mickey Kiker. Hello, Jewel Box News. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Y'all, I'm excited. I'm going to get to go to Thompson Bowling Arena on Saturday. I'm going to shoot a couple little shorts so that y'all can get an idea of Tennessee playing Kentucky. Some of y'all are not into sports. Some of y'all are not here for that, for me to talk about stuff like that. But y'all, I was born and raised in Tennessee. I love Tennessee football, basketball, softball, women's basketball, the whole 9 yards. I'm loud and I'm proud. It took a lot to get where the men's basketball team has gotten, and I've watched it from even before the season really got started, where they were playing the scrimmages and all of that. So it's going to be a wonderful day, and you have to cheer for your teams. It's so much fun to do, says Pam Keith. Yes, it is. And I've cheered for them even when they've lost. You know, that's a real fan for you, even when they're not winning. You know, it's wholesome. Sports is a wholesome thing. It's something that I really enjoy. Wayne and I love sports. And we don't watch a lot of television, so the sports are, when it's basketball season, there's always a basketball game on. We watch those, you know. So anyway, the last time we got together, I brought up all this about Sebastian Rogers, the 15-year-old autistic young man from the great state of Tennessee that's been missing now for 10, 11 days. And we talked about it, and there's several reasons why I brought it up in the first place. First and foremost, he's a child. He has special needs. He's missing. I need to speak of this on this platform. Not that everyone knows to come here to hear anything I've got to say. Y'all know how this channel is. But I felt like, you know, being a Tennessean and all of that, that I really needed to do what I could to talk about it. And the last time we talked, my initial theories, hypotheses, they were leaning a little bit on a lot on the negative side. I'll give it that. And the reason that it was always like that for me and has been for a long time is because y'all know as well as I do that there's a lot of evil going on in this world, and there's a lot of things that's happened, and it just, I guess in some ways, it just puts this blinder on me. Although in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm going to pray, there's got to be hope. And I was looking on the community wall, and someone, I forgot their name, but they know who they are. They said they really, truly believe that Sebastian walked away. And, I can respect that. And I really pray to God that that's the case. But then again, if that is true, why haven't they found him yet? And if it's true, it's sad because you either got to go for this, he's somewhere where nobody can find him, and after y'all, all this weather and everything like that, I just don't want them to find him deceased. Or could it be that he's been abducted? Or could he have really, at some point that the parents didn't know about, had a plan? I can't help but keep going back to him leaving the house with no shoes on. And some would say, well, KJ, he's autistic. And maybe he just wasn't thinking, and he just, he had a plan, but he wasn't thinking about putting his shoes on. Well, then you got the descriptors, right, from the parents themselves saying he doesn't like to get dirty and that he doesn't like bugs. And so if it was his decision to, even if his decision was just to go outside for a minute with a flashlight, you would think that he would put his shoes on. Good morning, Beach Lady. Good morning, Dog Mom. So there hasn't been any news other than the news that we got in that they're scaling back the search for him, and it's going into an investigation. And y'all, ultimately, I feel like I'm a fish out of water as it pertains to autism. I think Nicole and others who might have family members or friends or some experience in that area, I can't wrap my head around any of that. And good morning, Vicki McNutt. Sitting by the ocean and listening to my favorite channel, can't get any better than that, says Beach Lady. Well, I'm jealous, Beach Lady. I'm happy for you, but I'm jealous. I love to visit the ocean, and I might later in September or October go down to Panama City Beach. That's the time of year that I like to go to the ocean because it's not so like in the heat of summer. But anyway, back to what I was speaking, because y'all, I'm not awake yet. I'm still drinking coffee. I've prayed and I've hoped. I feel very strongly about talking about Sebastian Rogers. I want to hear good news, and I know all of y'all would like to hear it as well. And we talked about scenarios and what we did learn from the parents' interviews, along with the biological parents' interviews. And let me just be clear, we didn't know at the last live stream about this topic that Sebastian Rogers' biological father is actually a police officer. And some red flags just kind of went off for me. Because y'all, when I look at theory and hypothesis, I could easily sit here and talk about, well, he walked out the door and this is all, the parents had nothing to do with this and everything. But for some reason, my mind shifts toward foul play. It just does. For those interested, there is a reporter and journalist. He's a lot like Nate Eaton, but he's from Tennessee, and his name is Nick Beres, Beres. And he released a long video about this, and he's got inside track with a lot of law enforcement. And he hasn't come right out and said anything, and he also said that it would be unfair to demonize the parents at this point with no evidence and all that. But folks, if people are saying don't demonize the parents without evidence, right? Okay, there's no evidence that they are innocent either. So we're supposed to give them, I'm supposed to give them the benefit of the doubt, right? Well, since when has that happened in life? Does old KJ want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt when you take into totality here in Tennessee? Summer Wells, Joe Clyde Daniels, who was autistic, who ended up getting murdered by his dad, and his mom, she's in prison too. I'm going to be very, very thankful if I'm wrong about this, y'all. But getting back to the biological father, he is a police officer. And I was thinking, what could have happened? First of all, we've got to know, or we've got to find out, and maybe we will eventually, when the stepfather left for work. There's been some miscommunication on this whole case. It is a case now, y'all. It's a criminal investigation. Everybody's saying, well, how could the stepfather be, he had to have left work at 1 or 2 in the morning. No, he actually had gone sometime during Sunday, during the day or in the evening, because the mother said in the interview that she was sitting on the phone with the stepfather from 9:30 to 12 midnight. So he was already in Memphis before the alleged between 12 and 6, Sebastian left the house. So the question is, what time did the stepfather leave? And y'all know I'm zeroing in on the stepfather. And y'all know that I already said that I just don't feel like the mother could have done anything to him. But then when I got that little tidbit about the biological father being a police officer, this is just theory and hypothesis, y'all. Could it be, okay, and this is just theory, that sometime Sunday in the afternoon, because police are now asking not only from, if you've got any Ring doorbell stuff between 12 and 6, they're asking now for any surveillance or anything like that, camera footage of the day of Sunday. Could it be that the stepfather or the mother lost it, hurt Sebastian, and knew that this isn't just about hurting him? This is about Sebastian's going to be going to his police officer father's house the following weekend, because the biological father said he was supposed to get him the next weekend. And this isn't about, a biological parent, their child comes to visit them that weekend and they got bruises or something bad's happened. The mother and the stepfather would think, he's a police officer. If he finds out we did this, we could go to jail. Not that it wouldn't happen with a biological parent who's not a police officer, but again, you think about that. Could it, and these are just theories, could it be that something bad happened, whether it was an accident, whether it was child abuse, whatever, and they knew that Sebastian would be going to his police officer father's house the following weekend, and they didn't want to get in trouble? That is a theory. That is a hypothesis. Fancy Nancy says, I'm curious about why Sebastian didn't visit his dad the previous weekend on his scheduled time. Great point, Fancy Nancy. I heard that myself, because the lady that was interviewing the biological father asked him when was the last time you'd seen his son, and he said it'd been 2 weekends. but that he was supposed to get him that next weekend after the Sunday night that Sebastian came up missing, just disappeared. Perhaps, I mean, these are just ideas thrown out here. Maybe the biological father had to work a double shift in law enforcement. Maybe something else was going on. Or maybe he wasn't seeing Sebastian as much as he needed to be seeing him every other weekend. You know what I'm saying? It could be anything. But let me get back to this. This is the pivotal question for OKJ. What time did the stepfather leave to go to Memphis, which was 3.5 hours plus away from Hendersonville? Because, and again, these are all theories. I can't say that enough, because if I'm wrong, I'll be so happy I am. That they find Sebastian alive, that everything's okay, the parents had nothing to do with it. I want to believe that. But I have to look at everything. That when the stepfather left to go to Memphis during that 3.5 hour drive, could he have had Sebastian with him? And somehow, somewhere along the way, disposed of him. Or there are other people that have commented, what if Sebastian he left the house, got into the back of his stepfather's vehicle and laid down in the back seat. He wanted to go on a trip in his own mind or whatever. And then when his stepdad got at work, he got out and walked away. There's many different ways to look at it. Eric Jasper says, morning KJ and all you fine rays. With the mom rocking herself, that whole interview is what made me start worrying. I do hope he's found safe. Yeah, Eric. And I was not aware, because I don't really follow the news a whole lot. I'll do some local stuff, and then there's a few other cases that I try to apply to the Chad and Lori Daybell case. But it was brought to my attention because there were people that were posting on YouTube about Sebastian Rogers, but they were also, some of them were talking about this Madeline Soto. So that got me curious, and I went, because they were saying, this is weird that this is all happening around the same time. Well, I went to the mother's interview about her daughter, Madeline Soto, and what was she doing, y'all? She was rocking back and forth, just as Sebastian's mother was doing. Now, could that be a coincidence? Could that just be they're just soothing themselves because they've done nothing wrong and they've just missed their child? Sure. But it's just crazy, y'all, that some of this stuff it kind of just is like an echo. It just lines up so much. Hello, Mikhail Callahan. Well, Eric Jasper, when you say that Sebastian probably wouldn't have the mental capacity to pull that off, if you're talking about hiding in the back of the seat of his stepdad's vehicle to go to Memphis, they said he was high functioning, okay? And I've kind of looked at it, but again, I am a fish out of water. And, I've had a few of y'all that's got experience in autism and all that to try to guide me along. But even then, with those precious wisdom-filled experiences that I've been getting from Nicole and others on here, the bottom line is Sebastian was his own person, and I was like, well, how am I going to really try to look at this? And y'all, I'm trying to go down the pathway of getting away from this negative theory stuff that I'm at to try to see that, yes, Sebastian walked away. So I looked online, and I'm going to put this together the best I know how. And I know the Rays will understand why I'm doing this, because here's a question right here, okay? Could Chad Daybell have been a good stepfather to JJ with JJ's autism? Because we knew that Lori for a long time, was very attentive and patient. Everyone said she was a great mother to JJ. And then I got the insight from Kay Woodcock when she talked about in her sentencing statement, a victim impact statement, a lot about how she felt. And she's talked about things as well. Krish has talked about things. And, is it futile? Is it futile for me to try to see what I can do within my own perspective? Just demonstrate what I'm seeing here? Well, I looked on East Idaho News, and in Provo, Utah, and some of y'all already know about this, a couple has been arrested and accused of chaining their autistic daughter to a bed for several hours a day. This just came out. I don't believe in coincidences. Benjamin Ammon Sorensen, 45, and Emily Sorensen, 40, were each booked into the Utah County Jail on Tuesday for investigation of abuse or neglect of a child with a disability. On Tuesday, Provo police were called to meet with caseworkers from the Division of Child and Family Services regarding the Sorensens, who had chained their 8-year-old autistic daughter to a bed. And this is according to an affidavit. Police learned that the caseworkers had previously received a report of the daughter being chained up and that the parents had signed an agreement not to do that anymore. But when an officer arrived at the Sorensen home, quote, I observed the victim on the top bunk of the bed in the living room with a chain around her ankle. I told Benjamin to unchain her, and he initially rebutted, but then pulled a key from his pocket and unlocked the paddock. When questioned, Benjamin Sorensen stated that, quote, every night for the last 3 months, approximately, he would chain his daughter to the bed by the ankle from approximately 8:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. He also stated that sometimes when both he and Emily are gone, he would leave the daughter chained to the bed, but would leave a key with their 13-year-old daughter. During these times, the daughter is mostly left unsupervised while chained up. Both children were taken into state custody. Now, why am I bringing this up? Well, the question goes back again. Did Sebastian walk away, or was there foul play involved? And when it comes to autism, y'all, we've seen these stories time and time again. Parents or family members that are in the care of autistic children, somehow, some way, they're in over their head about what it takes to take care of a disabled autistic child. Does that have anything to do with Sebastian Rogers? No. The point I am trying to make is this running issue. The mother says he wasn't a runner, right? I've always believed that, and I believe this with all my heart, it takes a very special, God has ordained it for parents to have these special needs children, that only these parents would know how to take care of that child. But saying that also, there are people that maybe get caught up in other areas of their life that kind of overtake their attention, and the attention that needs to be put toward an autistic child it can become neglectful. This is an extreme version of that. And I'm not saying that Sebastian's mother and stepfather were doing anything like that. And also to say that when the mother and stepfather give this interview, we can only go off of what they're saying. Is it the truth? Is it truthful that Sebastian Rogers does not run? Because obviously this couple in Utah that had this 8-year-old daughter chained her up to keep her from either moving around the house or running. So why wouldn't, if foul play is suspected from the parents from old KJ, why wouldn't they give this narrative that, he disappeared between 12 and 6, and we're so used to having to lock the doors because he wants to get out all the time. No, they didn't say it that way. They said he doesn't run. Maybe they knew that other people knew that he isn't a running type autistic child. And so they were just going to try to give as much truth as they could around possible lies. So then again, I'm sitting there basically trying to do what I can, knowing I'm basically ignorant on autism, and trying my best to force myself to say he took off for whatever reason. It really doesn't matter at this point, right? It doesn't matter if he had a strict home. It doesn't matter if there was abuse there and he ran off and the parents just don't want to say it, or that they could have gotten in trouble over an accident that happened to Sebastian, or that Sebastian had actually met people online but the parents didn't know about it, or whatever. I mean, there's a million different scenarios here. It does not matter why he would have run off. The fact is if he did run off, we need to find him. The law enforcement's doing everything they can. We're all praying. We're all hoping in our gut, our heart, our spirit that Sebastian Rogers is found. So I thought, well, where could he be? Which is the biggest question. Why would he have left? And then I ran across a local article from the Tennessean, and just hear me out. You'll see where I'm going with this. That kind of helps OKJ, because, I need to hear these things, right? Wilson County's Suzanne Williams has an 11-year-old son with autism who immediately recognized the diagnosis the first time she saw a picture of the Sumner County teenager who has been missing and at the center of a statewide Amber Alert for more than a week. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, 15, was last seen February 26 near Stafford Court in Hendersonville wearing a black sweatshirt, black sweatpants, and glasses, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation has said. Officials have confirmed that Sebastian has autism, something his family has in common with many other Tennessee families. About 1 in 36 children have been identified with autism spectrum disorder, according to estimates from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Williams said, "I saw that boy's picture and I knew instinctively that he was autistic. My stomach just had all kinds of emotions, wondering what those parents must be feeling, wondering if he's afraid somewhere." Sebastian's disappearance has struck a nerve with many Middle Tennessee parents living with autistic children, because many worry their children could end up in similar situations. Clinical psychologist and associate professor of pediatrics at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, Amy Whiteloff, said it's a really common fear for many of the parents I work with. Autism is a bio-neurological developmental disability that generally appears before age 3, according to the National Autism Association. It impacts the normal development in the areas of social interaction, communication skills, and cognitive function. Individuals with autism typically have difficulties in verbal and nonverbal communication, social interactions, and leisure or play activities. Nearly half of children with autism have a tendency to wander or elope from safe settings, according to the National Autism Association. Drownings, traffic injuries, dehydration, heat stroke, hypothermia, falls, and encounters with strangers are among the dangers cited as outcomes of wandering or elopement of these autistic children. It's a very big concern for autistic individuals and their families, says Whitelaw. We all want to keep our children safe. Teaching children with autism is a process, and learning to do that well is a process. Amy Channon of Hendersonville has 2 autistic children, an 8-year-old who is nonverbal and has serious elopement issues. Serious elopement issues. And a 10-year-old who is not prone to wander at all. Channon is heavy on security measures like door sensors, video cameras, codes on door locks, alarms, and lock reinforcements. She also uses safety beds for her children and launched a Middle Tennessee disability resource and support group on Facebook that has over 2,000 members. Williams also knows parents of children with special needs who have to set up extra safety measures, guards, and alarms to protect them, especially when they're prone to wandering off. Channon said, I do a lot of trust walks and social stories with the boys. YouTube has many videos and songs on levels they can understand to teach safety and not to go with strangers. What led to Sebastian's specific disappearance is unclear. Hundreds of people from across Tennessee have joined in search efforts to locate the missing teen, but there have been no sightings or leads. There was a clear shift in the case this week in Sumner County as officials announced they would be scaling back searches and focusing more on the investigation into Sebastian's disappearance. Like wandering and elopement, an autism diagnosis can lead to different behavioral characteristics, Whitelaw says. William's son is more prone to hide than wander, and it usually happens when her child is overwhelmed and looking for a safe place. Channon's 8-year-old also likes to hide in tight, dark spaces and has an affinity for climbing, often reaching very high places, she said, noting that her child also likes water and that sometimes means 3 baths a day to meet sensory needs. Some autistic kids are introverted and can be closely guarded with most anyone but family. According to Crystal Miller, Helpline Advocates for Autism Tennessee, who raised 2 children with Asperger's syndrome, which is a form of autism. Others with autism hardly know a stranger, Miller said. She also noted that high levels of endurance and tolerance, including pain, can often be behavioral characteristics. From what I've seen in interviews and read in what teachers have said, this doesn't sound like typical behavior. So let's stop there for a minute. Miller's knows all about autism according to her own family, has children with a form of autism, Asperger's syndrome. Says from the interviews that Miller has watched with the parents, along with the biological father, along with what they have learned about how he was at school and all of these things, that this doesn't sound like typical behavior of Sebastian just leaving. Everything about this case is wrong, says Miller. Many parents have kids on the autism spectrum, and Sebastian reminds us of our own kids. Could he have gotten on a bus or something? There are so many ideas in my head to keep me away from the worst case scenario. Anyone with information on Sebastian's whereabouts is encouraged to contact the Sumner County Sheriff's Office or TBI at 1-800-TBI-FIND. So there we have it, y'all. Sebastian could have left. He could have been prone to going and hiding somewhere. But when I take into totality the measures that law enforcement has already provided, no scent coming from Sebastian for the bloodhounds, the aerial, the horseback, the on foot, the ATVs, the 1,000 square mile radius, the fact that all these people in Hendersonville that have these homes have been checking under tarps and sheds and under mobile homes and all of that. The question I had about it when I was listening, I was like, well, why would he just leave to go hide somewhere? Well, there you go, y'all. I just got the answer from someone who understands autism. I don't. That they like that. They like to hide in those tight, dark places, perhaps. Not all of them. That not all of them like water, but are prone to wanting to be near water. It's really, at this point, y'all, it's frustration. It's just a desperate feeling in my heart. Let's find Sebastian. Law enforcement has gotten too good at looking for these precious kids, says Eric, but this really worries me. BB says, a lot of autistic students I have a routine and nothing can interrupt that routine. They will have a meltdown and people will notice them. It's a great point. Thank you for sharing that. Cindy Bullock seems to think that maybe someone took him in a car, which would account for why nobody has actually seen him on camera or anybody's witnessed it. Maybe the bloodhounds didn't pick it up because he walked right out the door and went right into somebody's car. If that's the case, why walk out the door without your shoes on? In the middle of the night. The stepfather is working in Memphis, Tennessee. I just wonder what time he has to leave the house because that's over 3 hours away. Exactly, Sandra, I was saying that at the beginning of the live stream, that people were getting all that mixed up because they thought, oh, the stepfather's got to be in Memphis and it takes about 3.5 hours. So that means he would have had to leave the house somewhere between 12 and 6 a.m. Well, folks, the mother said she sat on the phone with the stepfather from 9:30 at night till 12 at night. So he was already in Memphis. So he had to have left earlier that day. And folks, if there's not a trace of Sebastian and this is foul play, what better way to take him away than on that 3.5 hour travel? I hate to say it, but I'm going to throw it out there. Eric says, I bet law enforcement is combing that area the stepfather drove. Yes. And the question is are they going to see a track, GPS-wise, of just constantly him being on the road and never stopping, going to work? I mean, if he did stop, did he stop to get gas? And if he stopped, what's around the area where he stopped? Could it have been he stopped somewhere on the side of the road of an interstate, getting off an exit where there's no place to get gas or houses or anything like that? And better yet, how long's he been working on this project as a crane operator? And how big is that St. Jude's project? How big is the area? And really, I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm stupid. You know, I've been stupid. Give me a break, y'all. I have. A crane operator is running a crane at nighttime? Does that make sense? Does that sound safe? Because if he's at work, he says, I've got one ear plugged in to hear the radios and one in to hear my wife who's sitting on the phone from 9:30 at night till 12. What is this, a lighted area, commercial area where he can see what he's doing? Regarding the stepfather's possible involvement, Denise Gray says, good morning, Granny Whisper. Yeah, I really, I mean, I've been keeping an eye on it. Every hour upon hour, I go and check the updated stuff just to see if there's even some new news out. Uh, they're going to they're going to find out. These parents, I don't understand why it took them several days to finally get in front of a camera or go on a live stream with the Duchess there. I don't understand why it took them that long, because I'd have been right out there right off the get-go. But then again, maybe they were just so distraught, right? I mean, I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt, y'all. But go and research yourself with Nick Beres, Beres. He's posted a video. This man covered Joe Clyde Daniels, who ended up being murdered. He was an autistic little boy. He's covered Summer Wells. He is in Tennessee. He's a lot like Nate Eaton is to Idaho. You're going to hear it from him, and he doesn't come right out. But he did say this. He said he's known law enforcement a very long time. He's dealt with them behind the scenes. And he says that no child goes missing from their own way of doing it, the child doing it themselves in thin air. It just does not happen. That this Sebastian Rogers would have had to be stealthy. He would have had to hide behind every tree, would have had for no one to have caught him on camera or on the side of the road. And people say, well, KJ, maybe he left and he walked right out of the neighborhood. What, barefooted? Barefooted? And even then, at some point, he's going to get hungry or need a glass of water. He's going to ask somebody. Hi, Awesome Sassy Sauce. Awesome Sassy Sauce says, praying for the family in Sebastian to be found healthy and unharmed. Cindy Bullock says, nobody could have seen if he left out of the garage. That would explain no shoes. Well, the parents didn't say which door it was that he went out of, but they did say the doors were locked when she got up the next morning, so he locked the door on the way out. Which, if that's true, okay, if that's true that he locked the door on the way out, regardless of how the door locks, y'all, that means he wasn't going to come back. He had it in his mind that he wasn't coming back. Because if his idea of just going outside for a minute, he wouldn't have locked the door on himself. At the end of the day, we are our children's biggest advocates, says Eric Jasper. When you have a special needs child, your advocating needs to be huge. Great point, Eric. Great point. Exactly, Maggie Jane. Sebastian would have tried to talk to the first person he came across if, again, that Tennessee article I read y'all, if he's the outgoing type. And I've seen the pictures of him standing between classmates. He looked like an outgoing young man, high functioning, is what everybody's saying. But let's just, for sake of argument, say that he was like some autistic children that are very introverted and are not prone to want to be, communicate with people and be outgoing and stuff. Somebody would have still saw him, even if he didn't want to talk to a living soul. If he was just out walking down the road or something, somebody would have seen something. Tiffany Weiss says, let's help the people out, get more videos. We always pray over people and need prayers. Prayers will work. Tiffany, I believe that. I believe in prayer. But I believe in prayer that when I do pray, I should always pray that God's will be done. God's will, because his will is perfect. Perfect. You know, we get an idea, oh, let's pray that Sebastian Rogers is found safe. Well, I think both of us could agree that that's what God would want, right? Teresa says, I wonder if he got locked out. Well, you know, he could have knocked on the door. And if he was leaving, y'all, and he had it in his mind that he wanted to leave, why not bring your cell phone? Why not wear your shoes? You know, what I'm going to be interested in is when they find him alive and he's safe and his parents had nothing to do with it, the answers will come. Hopefully, the parents will say, you know, he got it in his mind. He wasn't thinking at the time. He just didn't put his shoes on. And really, in defense of the parents, when the mother says he didn't have his shoes on, she didn't have to say that. She didn't have to say that. How would police know how many pair of shoes this young man has? She could have, if she knew something bad happened to him, she didn't have to, you know, that right there puts a wrench in the works for her to say he didn't have shoes on. It doesn't look good, but maybe she's telling the truth. I pray that her and her stepfather and Sebastian's stepfather are telling the truth. And that this is just something that just, you know, it's one of these rare occasions. You know, in the midst of the Soto situation, the fact that Joe Clyde Daniels was murdered, he had autism, his parents lied about that. The fact that they haven't found Summer Wells yet, all that thing clouds up on OKJ. And I said it last live stream, I feel bad for thinking these negative thoughts, y'all, but I'm going to explore it. And again, the biological father, I don't believe he had a thing to do with any of it. He is a police officer. That pops up a different theory that it wasn't just about them getting mad at each other and going to court because the stepfather or the mother did something to Sebastian to hurt him, and the biological father found out about it and decided to take him to court to get full custody of him. This is a police officer who would have slammed the damn cuffs on him through another police officer, obviously. This wasn't just about, oh, something bad happened to Sebastian from the stepfather or the mother, and they know they're going to get in trouble about it, and they might lose custody of Sebastian. This is about the police officer biological father, who I think loves Sebastian and cares about him, would have took it a step further, other than just some kind of custody type situation. Could have been worse. Could have been a real bad accident and the parents just panicked. The stepfather and the mother just panicked, knowing that Sebastian's father, who was a police officer, would go off the deep end about it all and probably have them arrested. Yes, Dorothy, it does. More than one person has said this case sounds so fishy to them. BB says, depending on the degree of sensory disorder he has, it can range from sleeping with socks on to not wanting to walk. Jewelbox News is asking a question. There's so many questions about autism, Jewelbox News, that I absolutely don't have the answers, but I think these questions are very important. You say, are autistic people creatures of habit? No shoes does not make sense. Hello, Donna Donald. If he left willingly, dogs would have found his smell. Dogs are brilliant not to miss that, says CYW25. Good point. Hello, Within Reason. Within Reason says pray for truth. Yes. Eric Jasper says, I wondered if he was good and hidden somewhere in the house. I know of one kid that did that and suffocated. They looked all day. When law enforcement used their bathroom and closed the door, he saw her. Well, Eric, I know they've been in that house several times. Law enforcement has. So I don't think he's in the house at all. But I could see, these situations, whether a child is autistic or not, but these situations where they're very rare, like an abduction, somebody just happened to be in the neighborhood when Sebastian walked out the door, right? Those things are possible, but highly unlikely. Eric Jasper says, our son can't stand shoes. Interesting insight here. Donna Donald says, my mom fell yesterday and she seems okay. She has a knot on her head and her knees are swollen. Headed to the doctor this morning. Prayers welcomed. Hugs to all. Donna, I hope your mom's doing just fine. She's probably tough as you are. I hope everything's okay. Yes, it is a terrible situation either way. BB says, I have had many students up to 21 years old that are unable to put on clothes or shoes by themselves because they just don't have those skills. Well, that's a great point. What was your BB, not DD, BB, because we have a DD on here. BB, they say he's high functioning. And y'all, I apologize that I don't have more facts about autism behind me. I need to be looking up these definitions of what is high functioning. What is the spectrum? Is there some things that all of the autistic children share? You know what I'm saying? Other than just the term disorder, because you can have a disorder and it can come out in different ways. Susan Honecker says, prayers to Donna. We care. God bless you, your mom, and the doctors caring for her. We love you, Donna. I'm sure everything will be fine. Things like that happen. And I'm sure she'll be just fine. Yeah, Granny Whisper, I cannot help but think about JJ when I think about these situations, the situation with Sebastian Rogers. Not only is he a native of Tennessee, and I want to do what I can to help find him, which y'all know this is a itty bitty little channel that not many people know of, but anyone that could run across it, maybe they will see something or remember something. But thinking about JJ and knowing how well he was taken care of throughout his life, except for, what happened after Lori murdered Charles, and how after Lori met Chad Daybell, that's when the care of JJ went downhill, or was delegated to somebody else so Lori could go and spread her legs for Chad. It is what it is. Y'all know I'm speaking it. She took care of JJ, but his life was strong because when he was born, Kay and Larry and their family, they were good family to JJ. And maybe, just maybe, the stepfather and mother are awesome parents, and this is a terrible, terrible tragedy. I pray that. I sincerely pray for that, y'all. But I'm going to tell you, as I look at you, if we find out that stepfather or mother did something to him and he's dead, I hope they get the death penalty. And I'll tell you something else. This whole situation with Chad Daybell's trial April 1st, and that a lot of the same evidence and stuff, I guarantee you, we are going to peer into the mind of Chad Daybell and Alex Cox's relationship as it relates to their evil, diabolical minds about how they were going to kill and murder those children. We're going to find out all about just why Chad Daybell needs the death penalty. Right, Granny Whisperer. So I'm going to be looking to actually learn more about autism. I've learned a lot from a lot of y'all, Nicole and others on here, Eric, others. I've learned so much because, you know what? I'm not an expert in anything, but I am, I would say, an expert in living life. And according to my life and living my life, an expert in my own life, that means failures, mistakes. That means getting it right, getting it wrong. And I'm going to do what I can to learn a little bit more about this because I should have already done it. I should have already learned and researched all about autism when I decided I was going to take on this case of Chad and Lori Daybell. I want to keep that in my mind and heart about JJ and how special and loved and how he was just awesome. Just as I'm sure Sebastian Rogers is awesome. Just as I'm sure that all these children with special needs because of autism are beautiful gifts of God. This couple in Utah that chained their 8-year-old, maybe they were in over their head. They didn't want this child to run. But now they are arrested and in jail, charged with child abuse. It fits together somehow, y'all. Joe Mama, look up the Chad and Lori Daybell case. Lori Daybell was the mother of an autistic little boy, 7-year-old little boy, JJ Vallow. And they murdered him. They murdered his sister. Look that one up. You wanna know how evil and diabolical people are? Look up the Chad and Lori Daybell case. JJ Vallow was a sweet, loving little guy. And they snuffed his life out. And Chad Daybell's facing the death penalty in Idaho, and his trial is April 1st. His mother should have gotten the death penalty, but she's a freaking nut job. She's spending life in prison in Idaho. You look that up. That'll damn blow your ass, your mind, whatever. Blow you away. That's what this channel was open for. We are going to get justice through understanding in the Chad and Lori Daybell case. We've gotten rid of the damn hussy. She's going life in prison. Yes, she's facing charges of conspiracy to commit murder in Arizona. Makes no difference. Her ass is going to be in a Pocatello women's prison for the rest of her days. And Chad Daybell's going on trial April 1st. And his ass is going to be nailed to the wall. I hope he gets the death penalty. So, with that said, I love you all. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for all the people that are new here that just was nice. Because there are a lot of people that aren't. And I can't do nothing about the trolls. I love you all. Have a great day. You hear anything, put it on the community wall raise. We'll get back together over the weekend. Keep on looking.